Alright, we put Willis's Turbo 350 back together. We ordered bearings, they came in. I put the planetary together and it made a noise. So I took it back apart, and the part that goes on the output shaft had bearing material crushed in between the fins. So it was making noise when I spun it, and I didn't like it. So he brought two more over, and they were the type that used the bushing instead of the bearing. We didn't even need to order bearings, but whatever. It's back together. It's got the bushing top in it now instead of the bearing top, and he just needs to get a new pan. He wants to get a new pan gasket and filter, just because I guess. But yeah, that's back together. He'll get a pan and a filter gasket and a pan gasket, and we'll throw it back in the car. Coming to you live from Willis's garage. We're about to put the transmission back in. I got her all back together. Didn't make a video of that because I just made one of those recently. Now, of course, I didn't take that transmission all the way apart. There was still some stuff in the case. And we didn't take none of the drums apart or anything like that. And just basically switched the internals out to another one. But that transmission's working just fine. And Danny's truck. Got a C10 with a 6.0 in it. And yeah, the only reason that one failed is you've seen the bearing in the planetary, the low reverse planetary came apart, and the little needle bearings got into the planetary and tore it up. Alright, we got Willis putting the converter in. You should hear 3 distinct clicks when it pushes on there. If you have the privilege of taking it off, I usually try to do like a finger test between the converter and the bell housing.
I think it went all the way in, didn't it?
It might have. Usually that first click, it slides right on it. But
I think it's all the way in.
Typically, you'll have about 1.25 inches right from here to here, typically.
That's all the way in
You
there.
got a straight edge and a ruler? We'll check it.
No, it's all the way in. Let me pull it back out and check it, do it again.
Well, no. I usually like to measure it. Right here to there. You gotta have 2 straight edges for that though.
Huh?
A straight edge and a ruler. And FYI, they usually don't go on that easy.
Is that good? Like that, and then
Yeah, that'll work. Well, I'd hold it that way because those things bevel down. Here, I'll hold it.
what should it be?
Should be about 1 inch and it's supposed to be over 1 inch. I don't know if
It's
that's
about
all
1
the way
inch
in.
exactly.
If I remember correctly, we shouldn't pull it back out. That moth keeps hanging out. He just wanted to be part of the show. I wouldn't have pulled it all the way back out. Alright, so what we did was we put the torque converter on, and then we flipped the transmission over on its side the best we could. Willis held it. And then I got that board and the jack slid under here, and I put that board at an angle, and we pulled the transmission up on the jack, which wasn't easy because the jack kept trying to move. Probably could have chalked it back here or something. So the torque converter fell out. Willis put it back in there. It was 1 inch for his. It was exactly 1 inch. I measured from the flex plate to the block, and it was 7/8 of an inch. So that gives us the 1/8 of an inch to pull forward on the torque converter. If I remember correctly, when we put this in, that's where it was at. So we were all the way in with the torque converter. And then I held the back of the tail. Willis held the side of the transmission just to make sure it didn't fall off the jack. I took my leg out here and operated the jack like this. Well, I don't want to jack it up, but that's how I jacked it up, with my foot. And then we lined up the dowel pins, and we grabbed the jack. He grabbed the jack, I grabbed the transmission. We kind of pushed it both forward, and then went on the dowel pins. Why'd the light go out? Oh, there we go. And we slid it forward. And on these cars, on these 410s, put your dipstick in first, because I tell you what, you'll never get it in. You'll never give it in with the transmission and the motor in the car. So put it up in there first, and then once you get it up in there, close. You can go ahead and stab it in once you get the transmission in, but we need to make sure we didn't get a hold of these wires, and we did not. Man, that thing's going to shock somebody or something, Willis. I keep hearing that light spark, man. Y'all can't see it, but I can. The wires did not get under the transmission.
They didn't?
Nope. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
That thing's sparking, man. That thing's dangerous. We're going to get electrocuted messing with that. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Let's see if we can zoom in. So right up there, we was worried about the wires getting underneath the transmission, and they did not. I can see it plain as day, but for some reason, yeah, see, they're clear. The top of the tunnel there. I was worried about that. They were hanging down lower. Willis used the dipstick to push them back up in there.
This transmission line will not go on.
It will go on. You just got to fight with it a little bit. But anyway, then we got the bottom 2 bolts in. We're going to put the middle 2 bolts in. This is the hardest one to get to right here. So it's right up against. Well, it isn't so bad. Actually, there's a pretty good size hole there. It helps when the motor and the transmission are hanging down in the back. Oh, I gotta unzoom. I can barely fit under here. It helps when, you know, all this is lowered. So, like when I take those bolts out, I take the or the cross member out, the transmission cross member out, and I let the transmission hang. And then I get those. I get the top bolts. There's 5 typically on an LS engine, but with a turbo 350 power glide and turbo 400 swap, you only use, well, yeah, you use 5. Huh? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 7. Yeah, there's that one at the very top, and then that one's
right here.
I can't remember, but anyway.
Look at that. Show them this.
Willis
Right
made
there.
a special tool to
That's
get that
a
bolt.
tool for your transmission lines. That right there will save you a lot of heartache.
Yeah, I've got some transmission tool lines. Did you get it on there?
Yeah, finally.
I just hope that dipstick goes in place where you put it. Willis had a hard time even getting it up in the engine bay. I mean, they're not easy, man. They're not easy at all. See it? It's just hanging out. Oh yeah, it's in a good spot. It'll go right in that hole, hopefully. But once you get to this point, before you jack the transmission all the way up, whatnot, go ahead and put your transmission lines on. Willis and AN fittings only need like 20 foot-pounds, man.
Well, this little wrench ain't but like 3 inches long.
Oh, okay. Well. But yeah, Willis has to work tomorrow. I work 4/10, so I'm off Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's Wednesday night. We're going to put them middle bolts in, and then we'll just leave the jack under here.
You probably have to get up there and help me finesse this dipstick to get it to work.
Yeah, I'm going to go up top and try to help with the dipstick. Well, unfortunately, Willis has bent the dipstick tube when he dropped the transmission. He dropped it by himself. I like to never got it to go in the hole. I got it in the hole now, but the bracket does not line up with the bolt. So I got that down in the hole good. I don't know how we're going to get it out, but it looks like it needs bent right here and then bent up top. Dang it. I don't want to zoom, does it today? Yeah, see? As you can see, we're all the way down in the hole. Actually, probably go more. The rubber bushing ain't all the way down. Either way, it doesn't matter, because that little bit ain't gonna make you dizzy. Ain't gonna get it. It's pretty far off. See? I can stick my whole finger in there. Actually, it's about a finger thickness, but it needs to come down about an inch, I would guess. Well, maybe not even that much, but it's got to go forward about a half an inch. Well, we had to pull it out. I stuck the last bend. I was trying to bend it under. That thing's hard to bend, but I was able to muscle it a little. But finally got it where it was supposed to go. And then the last time I stuck it in the hole, I clipped the grommet and broke the grommet that goes into the transmission. So we have to get another one of those, but it's just cracked. So we was able to stick it in the hole, and we put the dipstick tube in, and it lined right up. We did make one more little adjustment to it because I think I had it lined up before, but I think this part right here was hitting the back of the motor and not letting this go all the way down. I think it was lined up them other times too, because it was almost there. I mean, it was right there. Like, it was in here, right here, which I think I had it before, but see, there's perfect round in the hole, and it lines right up now. And I think it was there before, but what I think was happening was this piece was hitting the back of the engine, and it was putting it right there. There's where I was at. So we bent that up straight, and the way we checked that was well, I can't hold that straight at the same time, but I use this board as a straight edge like that. With it on there, it's perfectly perpendicular up through there when you line the bolt holes up. So it should clear the back of the block. I think we had it before, but I think it was just hitting the back of the block right up here. Yeah, see. I think we got it now, but now we broke the grommet. So I have to go get another grommet. But it lines up perfect now. See, it's perfect in the hole. If the grommet was in there. Actually, the grommet's going to have it up a little, so yeah, right there. I think it's good to go now. The only problem I'm worried about is if that hits the cowl. If so, we'll have to bend it right there just a little. And we can probably do that in the car. I think we got it now. We had to take it all the way out just to do that. But we're done for tonight. Willis got to go work in the morning. It's already 11.
Get up early in the morning, go to North Carolina.
Yeah, it's already 11:40. 2 hours, nothing done. Actually, 2.5.
Yeah.
Fighting with that dipstick because it wouldn't go in. When he took the transmission out by himself. That's hard to do, guys. So when the transmission dropped, the dipstick tube kind of fell out. And if you guys ever worked on these cars, you know how tight that dipstick tube is in there. It's hard to get it in without the transmission even in the car. You gotta snake it in upside down like this. Get it up in there. Once you get it up so far, then you gotta spin it around. Well, spin it this way. And then push up on it to even get it in the car. And he's got exhaust on the car. And that makes it really difficult. And then the transmission in, it's almost impossible to get that in and out without bending it with the transmission in the car. It's almost impossible. It can be done. It just ain't easy. And it's hard to figure out just how to do it. But it can be done, but it's very difficult. Very, very difficult. And it helps if the exhaust ain't on the car. Where he's got exhaust on the car and the transmission in there, I was able to get it in and out, but I mean, it was tight. But I know how they come in and out. And it was still very, very difficult for me to get that in and out. But yeah. We'll be back at it. This is Wednesday, Friday, I guess.
Friday night or Saturday morning.
We'll get her done.
See what time I get home from work.
Then hopefully we'll get this thing back consistent and get Willis back in the winner circle. All right, here we go. Round 2. Me and Willis are back at it. We got a dipstick grommet. And see this right here? The dipstick tube. We're going to put it in before we put the transmission in. And you kind of put it in backwards. See? Upside down, backwards, whatever you want to call it. Stick it up in there about where it's going to go between the wire and harness. Then you just push it up. And then you flip it around. As you push it up, it should go right up in there. Oh, I took y'all away, didn't I? Yeah, so up in there, like that, kind of backwards. Slide it up, and then once you get it so high, you can twist it around. There we go. It should go right. Oh yeah, that's gonna work. Look at that. Yeah, that's gonna work. It's still hitting the back of the head, but that's about the thickness of the transmission, so it should go. Should go. And we'll just set that up in there, kind of out of the way, the best we can. Right there. I'm taking the camera away every time, ain't I, guys? You gotta kind of push that up in there. We gotta be out of the way of the tunnel. All that good stuff. Then it just wants to fall out. But yeah, then we'll stab the torque converter and we're gonna slide that over here. All right, now we're just trying to jack it up high enough to clear the back of that flex plate.
Jack it up a little bit more.
And then you can see, I'll flip y'all around here. Willis is doing that job this time. He's holding the tail and I'm holding the front. And he's Alright, I went ahead and stuck the dipstick, started it down in the hole, and now we're just trying to line up these dowel pins. So you got those big dowel pins, got to go in them holes on both sides. Willis is stuck in that hole, so I'm trying to get a bolt started. See?
Where's that ratchet at?
And once he gets the bolt started, this side's going to have to go up some. Alright, there we go, guys.
Okay. Wire's in good shape. Can you see them?
That dowel, you usually won't get both dowel pins to line up just because something will be crooked. So we got that dowel pin in. Then we tried to straighten the transmission enough we could start that bolt. Will started that bolt over there. We didn't tighten it all the way up. We just started it so it wouldn't pull out. And since that one wouldn't pull out, we jacked the transmission up just a little over here, and then we pulled the rear of the transmission over this way. And I put that pin in, then I put this bolt in, so both button bolts are in. Now we just need to put the rest of the bolts in. Yeah, the torque converter bolts start them out. So on this dipstick tube, I started it as we went up. Now, out of the car, that slid in and out really easy. Once you get in the car, it doesn't slide in and out that easy because you can't get nothing on it. But what I do,
It's all the way against the firewall right now.
so we got 3/4 of an inch. What I do, I take the 3/4 inch and I straddle that part right there. See, goes around it just right. And then I add another big wrench on there like that right there. And then I just pry up. Try to find a good place to pry up. And pry up. And see, it pushes it down. Just like that. Shakalaka.
It's perfect up here if it'll work down.
And now the question is, this time, does our bolt hole line up?
I can move it up here to find the hole if you need it.
Move it more that way.
This way?
Nope. It's got to go that way more.
How much more?
Now you're pulling it up, and it's got to go down. Got to dome down like that. You got to twist the front of it towards the passenger side. No, the other way. See, and then it's hitting the tunnel of the transmission right there. So you gotta twist it. Like,
I know what you're saying, but I don't know how to twist it.
well, we're still fighting with this dipstick tube. It is so close. It ain't. It's close, but it ain't close enough to stick a bolt through there. So Willis down there fighting with it. Moral of the story: do not bend your dipstick tube when you take your transmission out. You gotta try to pop that out. What I usually do is I unbolt the cross member from the transmission, and then sometimes you have to take your exhaust off. All Willis had to do was unhook it from the back, and it all come down with it. And then I lower it all down, and then I try to pull the dipstick tube out and just push it up inside there so it don't get in the way. Then I take all the bolts of the transmission out and the transmission lines, and
I bent it and made it worse, I think.
and then drop the transmission out. He left it in the hole and then dropped the transmission out. The dipstick tube got caught in there. Which he was,
Just fell out, to be honest with you.
yeah, he was doing it by himself. It's kind of hard to do by yourself. Well, Liz is putting on the transmission lines, but I got that dipstick tube to line up finally. But what I did was we fooled with it until we got the hole close to the transmission hole. And then I took a small flat blade screwdriver and I stuck through there and I bent it down. And then I held it down and Willis held it at the top. And then as I slowly brought that screwdriver up and pulled it out, it lined up enough for me to get the bolt in. I put the bolt in it, sent it. Now we're going to lower the transmission back down so everything slants down so we can get to these bolts. There's 3 on the passenger side when you do the Turbo 350, Turbo 400. Power Glide, you can only use 3 on the passenger side and 2 on the driver's side, but 5 is plenty. Well, I lied. It's 3 in the driver's side and 2 in the passenger side, but if you let the transmission hang down as low, so we got that jack loose, it's just kind of sitting under there. What I do is I let that hang down as low as it can back here, and I get these bolts with big long extensions from the back. That's the way I do it. Can y'all see up in there? But now, yeah, that's what I do, especially that top one. I just use a bunch of extensions and I get it from back here. But now this middle one, it's pain in the ass on these 410s. This middle one, I had to get with a wrench. I had a swivel, and the swivel would go on it, but then I'd turn it a few times, it'd pop off. But I just got it with a wrench right here. There's just enough room to use the squared off end, box end, whatever, and turn it, put it back on there, turn it. Yeah. Right there. That was the pain in the butt. Because there's like a lip right here, just enough to get a wrench in, but over here it lips back out. And it's hard to get the extensions and swivel on it straight. And it's such an angle. Yeah. But anyway, that's the way I do it. A bunch of extensions. And I get all these bolts from way back here. And I use an electric wrench. I don't know how good y'all can see. I'm not up on there to see the screen, but yeah. A lot of people say, I can't get my bolts out. Drop the back of the transmission down and use a bunch of extensions and get them from way back here. That's the way I do it. It works out pretty good.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, on these LS engines, you got to take the starter out to get to the torque converter bolts. Which sucks.
I need a 13.
Small block Chevy, you don't have to do that.
I think it's a 13 millimeter.
Should be a 13 or a 14. Yeah, they usually look like 13. But anyway, I'm going to turn the motor over to get him all lined up here. We didn't, I think it's a 20, it's either a 22 or a 24, but we didn't. He didn't have a metric that big, so a 15/16 fits it good enough to turn it. So yeah, I'm gonna turn it over. He's gonna take the starter out. I'll turn it over, and so he can line up the torque converter bolts. He'll put the torque converter bolts in. Then we'll move on to the cross member and the drive shaft and the shifter linkage. Oh, and anytime you take your starter out, make sure to unhook the battery, because you dang sure don't want those battery posts, because that one starter post goes straight to the battery. You definitely don't want to get it caught on something and get the starter hung up in there and start throwing sparks. You're going to have a bad day. And we're locked tighten our nuts onto the bolt on these flex plates, because they like to come loose, and then you'll have a knocking sound, think your motor is bolted up, and sell it for cheap, and it'll just be a torque converter bolt. I bought one like that one time. Guy said it's got a rod knocking. I took it, and there's a torque converter bolt. Tighten the torque converter bolt up, and I was good to go. Torque converter bolts are in. Now he's putting the starter back in, then we'll jack the transmission back up and throw the cross member in there. And he's got a tunnel mount torque arm. Once we get everything, the cross member up and in place, we're going to see if that tunnel mount torque arm will clear his exhaust. We took that part off of it just so before we put the drive shaft in. We're going to see if that'll clear his exhaust. If it does, we're going to put that tunnel mount torque arm on there. All right, let's jack his transmission up, put this cross member in.
We need to...
Showing Willis in all his glory here. I put the shifter linkage in. We put the cross member in. And then Willis is putting the torque arm in right now. The only thing left to do is put the drive shaft in. It looks like that torque arm's going to fit. That tunnel mount adjustable torque arm's going to fit. But we're going to do that for a different day. And when we put the torque arm up, we checked the, I got an angle finder down there on the rear end. I put on the motor. The motor's 5 degrees this way. And then the rear end is about 4 degrees this way. So it's got a -1 in it. So it's about right on that. It's got the good lower control arms in it. But when we put the tunnel mount torque arm in, we're going to do that a different day because that might take us too long. We're going to try to bracket race this thing today. We're going to try to get it done and bracket race it. So as soon as he gets the torque arm bolted up, put the drive shaft in it, put some fluid in it. Hopefully it starts and runs. We've got 3 hours before test runs start for the bracket racing. I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of sketchy. But we got a jack under the cross member. And then we had one under the transmission. There's jack stands in the back also on those. I got wheel cradles. He should have told him to come get those, but whatever. But yeah, the jack stands ain't long enough to reach in the front, but they do in the back. And then we got those, but we got 2 jacks. One was on the transmission, one's on the cross member, but the one that was on the transmission's on the oil pan right now. And then that one's still on the cross member. Time to do some sketchy stuff, dude. Our drive shaft's in. We went and got some trans fluid. Just got to bolt the exhaust back up to the back of it. And he's putting that little drive shaft loop thing that comes in these cars stock. And then we'll bolt the exhaust back up, throw some fluid in it, and see what happens. Been setting forever and fired right up. No more grinding in first gear. There's second. There's third. Sounds good. Yes, sir. We're going to drive it around a little, get it up to 10, and recheck the fluid.
160 now.
Oh, you were looking down there. I got you.
Yeah, I
where the level reads. That's why you want to read the fluid when it's warmed up. But we didn't have no leaks so far. Everything looking good. Still over full a little, maybe a half a quart. We did undo one of the transmission lines and squirted it out, and we just guessed on how much it was over full. That's how much we took out. And it's perfect. It came out perfect. Let's say that's a half a quart. It might be a quart. I don't know. But it's perfect. It's right on the line. I don't even know how we managed that.
That's way more than half a quart, ain't it?
Yeah, it's probably like 3/4.
I'll take this with me right here and check it at the track.
Throughout the day, yeah.
Yeah, make sure.
All right, guys. We're going to go to the track. I'm going to run some modified. Willis is going to run trophy and sportsman maybe. I don't know. One or the other or both. We'll see. See y'all at the track. That'll conclude this video. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for watching.